Hey everybody, welcome to Houdini Hangout. Glad to have you with us today. It is going to be the last stream of the year. We're getting close to the holiday season here in North America, in the U.S. And so we're kind of starting to wind down for the year. Things are getting close to the end for work and all that kind of stuff. I'm fortunate enough to have a few, a couple days off of Christmas or days off for Christmas, the last week of the year. So that's really nice. And just really looking forward to a little break and relaxing a bit and just kind of, doing the thing where you just kind of hang out and chill for a bit. So it's been a crazy year. So it's going to be nice to be able to relax for a little bit, I guess. But but tonight I figured we would do something, something that I've honestly been putting off a little bit. Hey KG, how's it going, man? Yeah, 'tis the season to do random sims and avoid family. Yes, 100%. I am a terrible, I am definitely a Scrooge when it comes to the holiday season. I've never really enjoyed it. So, I'm just one of those folks that I'm just like, it's a lot. It can be a lot. More of an introvert, so I like to, just be able to chill and not have to be social. So it's nice to, it's nice to have a little bit of time off. But anyways, so tonight we're going to talk about something that I've been sort of putting off, just because I saw it on the list and I'm like, it was in the topic suggestions and a bunch of people liked it. And I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna be able to do a good job of this. And so I've been kind of putting it off, but you know what? I looked at it and I was just like, you know what? Screw it. I can give it a shot, can try it out, see what happens. I think it'll be okay. I can't say for sure what we're going to end up with tonight, but we'll give it our best shot. And certainly any help that you folks out there can give would be obviously appreciated, as I inevitably get stuck a million times throughout the course of a build or effect or whatever you want to say. So that's what's on the plan for this evening. The video that was referenced was from was it XK Studio, and their stuff is always absolutely incredible. So I please temper your expectations, because their stuff is a million times better than what I could come up with. But hopefully it'll at least be something reasonable and decent. So expectations tempered this evening. I think we're going to be doing that. It'll be probably a Vellum sim, I think, is what I'm going to try to do. That's at least my plan, and we'll see where we end up going with things. But I think that's what I'll end up doing. I don't know what else I would do. So that's the idea. As always, please feel free to drop comments in the chat if you have ideas or thoughts or better ways of doing things, alternate ideas, whatever you might want to say. Always happy to get feedback from you guys, and just hear what it is that you think might be a better way to go about doing these things. So that's always on the table, always open for questions as well. If I'm doing something that doesn't make any sense and you're like, wait, why did you do that? I'm happy to try to answer those questions. So I think that's my normal disclaimer at the beginning of any of these streams. I think that's pretty much it. Why don't we take a look at the video that was posted in the Discord server, and we can see what that looks like, and we can kind of talk a little bit about maybe how some of my thought processes around that, and how we might go about doing this. So I'm just booting up Discord because I did not have that open. And let me see here. What do we got? Topic suggestions. There we go. Wow, somebody else upvoted that today, apparently. I was at 7 before. Okay. Let me pull this over here. Hey, Joel, how's it going? Do you have plans for any Apex projects? It's a great question. I don't have anything right now that I'm planning to do. Apex is still a little bit early days, and so I haven't really dove into it too heavily from just like a straight learning perspective. Also on my team at work, we have we have a couple other people that are really talented as well, and we kind of try to divide up some of the, some of the stuff in Houdini that way, so that, obviously we can't all be, experts in everything, or at least try to be as knowledgeable in everything as we can be. Obviously we try to keep tabs on things, but, some of us are definitely more skilled in areas like that. And I've never been a character animator, so that's not something I've really ever gotten into too much, but it certainly could be something that we look into in the future. Maybe in the next kind of release cycle time, that might be something that we could look at and kind of say, maybe where is Apex now, and how can we start to use this, as was referenced in the the release video. It's an all-purpose execution graph. That's what it stands for, or execution. Yeah, I guess execution graph. EX, all-purpose execution, Apex, I guess. But right now it's not very all-purpose. So maybe when it gets to be a little more all-purpose, we can take a look at that and see what's really, what's really going on there. But it's a really cool idea, and I've seen some really interesting, kind of, yeah, it definitely is in beta still. It's still quite rough around the edges. It was one of those things I was like holding my breath when it came out, because I was like, what are people going to think about this? How finished is it going to be? How are they going to feel about it? But I've actually been pleasantly surprised with people's feedback on it and stuff like that. So, yeah. It's been a good thing. So, there's definitely some great resources out there for people playing around with it. Waffle Boy Tom is somebody that'll show up in the Discord every so often. He's been doing a lot of really cool, just weird stuff with it, just bizarre examples of how you can kind of play with it. And we could do a whole deep dive and talk about the tech behind it, because it's a lot of the concept of kind of this delayed execution, where you're building your graph and then executing it and all. Anyways, it's this whole process that's kind of been building up for years in Houdini, and this is the first step of kind of actually realizing it. But anyways, hey Dame, you said in there, it's been a while, hope you're doing well. Yes, I'm doing very well, thank you. Hoping to not get smashed with snow this year like I did last year around Christmas time, fingers crossed, but I think we'll be okay. So yeah, hopefully that answers your question a little bit, but cool. Yeah, well, let's take a look at this video, and we can kind of look at what specifically we'll be sort of doing here and what we're going to try to recreate. So let's go over here and take a look. Had my fade to black on. All right, so this is the video. It's a cool video. There's lots of really neat, like, little flower stuff in it and all this stuff. Obviously this hook concept is a big part of the Velcro, the way Velcro works. If you're not familiar with how Velcro works, basically there's these little hooks on one side, and on the other side are loops, and they kind of all hook in together. I don't know all of the actual tech behind it, but that is my understanding, and you can see there a little bit more of the close-up. And this is really what we want to try to recreate here. We'll see how this goes. I'm certainly a little bit nervous. I'm not going to be able to like go into the detail of, let's see here. Where were they showing it here? Like, we're not going to be doing all of this stuff down here and like the little notches and like, I don't know. That's not really in the cards for today. I am certainly not the person to talk to about rendering and shaders and blah, blah, blah. But I am happy to try to figure this out. Actually, that's really weird looking when I look at it paused like that. It's got a really weird like refraction there. It's bizarre. It's got like almost like a coating around the outside. Kind of might be hard to see, but it's like it almost looked like there was like a like an alpha mask around this or something, but it isn't. It's just the way that that's rendering. It's really interesting. Oh, what the heck was that? It just said microphone off. Is that doing that? Oh, geez. Something must have changed in my settings somewhere. Anyways, so the thing we're going to look at here is going to be this. So we're going to try to do this scene right here where we've got all these loops getting caught on these little hooks, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. It's going to be interesting. I'm honestly a little nervous. We'll see how it goes, but that's the idea. That's what we're going to try to accomplish here. Again, huge credit goes to the folks that made this. Obviously, I'm not trying to say that I can do better or anything like that. I just thought it was something that was neat and that we put out there. So I'm always a little like hesitant when we're taking a look at other people's stuff. I just want to make sure that they're not like, oh, you're trying to like, I don't know. I guess copying is a sincere form of flattery, but sometimes people can take that the wrong way. So kin effects for the animation. Actually, no, I'm not going to do kin effects for the animation. That's an interesting thought. I think that'll actually take a little too much, not too much setup time, but it doesn't really need to be that complicated. I think I'm just going to simply use a deformer for that to just deform the geometry. And then we'll have all of the, all of the loops and stuff attached to the geometry and the hooks as well. But yeah, no, it's interesting idea. And yeah, you certainly could do that. I mean, it wouldn't be that crazy. It's just, for me, that's an extra step I just don't need to go into tonight, because I think the vellum will be hard enough to set up. So yeah, there you go. All right. Cool. All right. Well, let's dive in and get started. Let's do a geometry node here. We'll just say, yeah, maybe what we'll do first is we'll set up the, yeah, we'll set up the like backing stuff. So we'll say geo, yeah, we'll just call it backing. So that's what we're going to call it. Just, this is going to be what everything attaches to. Terrible at naming things, so my apologies. Let's grab a grid. We want it to be really thin, so let's do this. I don't want it to be massive. Let's do it relatively small. Maybe something like that. I mean, obviously that's still fairly big. Let's maybe even make it a little smaller. Maybe we'll make it a meter or 1/10 of a meter. Yeah, that's fine. That should be fine. Sorry, I am from the United States, so my brain does not work great in metric. So what is that? That was pretty long. Let's do it like this, maybe. So like maybe like 3 feet long, and then therefore I want to make it a little narrower, something maybe like that. Cool. All right. So let's do that. And we can just up the rows and columns and make this a little bit better. Yeah, maybe something like that. I'm going to try to like square these off a bit. So maybe we'll leave it at 10 across and just keep going until these are roughly square. Something like that, maybe. That looks pretty good. Okay, cool. So that we will use for the bottom. Let's do a, we'll just do a transform of that just to get the top part. Let's see. Oh, hello. Okay, and let's merge these together. Yeah, it doesn't need to even be that far apart. So let's do this. Let's do like 0.005. So they're fairly close together. That should be good. And yeah, let me just, maybe I'll flip that in Z. Just flip it so the normals are facing down. I don't know, just in case I need normal direction for anything. That should work. Give us the normals the way we want it to. Okay, cool. So I'm probably going to leave this bottom, the bottom section attached just flat like that. I'm not going to animate that. And the top is going to move. So let's make some groups here. We'll call this the, so the bottom are the hooks, and then this top part is going to be the loops. So let's do that. Let's call it that. So the bottom part we'll call hook backing, and then we'll call this one, which is going to be the top one, we'll call this loop backing. And then that way we've got groups set up for each of those primitive groups here. And if I wanted to do something like, for example, if I wanted to bend these, right? So if I wanted to do a bend, I can just use a group in order to do that. Thank you. And we can just do a group here, and I can say the loop backing, which is just going to be the top. And let's see what this is going to be. There we go. And the capture is in which direction? Okay, it's in that direction. Oh, that's fine. We can definitely do that. All right, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make the length of this a little bit smaller. We can definitely do that. Yeah, something like that should be good. And we should be able to slightly change this capture direction. Oops. Maybe this here. I always forget which one of these. There we go. Something like that. And now as we move this, there we go. So now we could like roll it back like that if we wanted to. And this is a fairly simple, task to do like this. Limiting the deformation to the capture region is what is the thing that I checked off to make sure that it would kind of keep rolling like this. That way I can get a bit more of an interesting deformation as we go. And if I turn this bend angle down, that'll obviously change how intense this is going to be, right? So we're going to have just this, you could do it slower like this, or we could make it maybe 30 degrees and it'll be a bit more of a, a decent size here. So we could do something like that. Let's see here. Just want to make sure that I'm not. Well, that's interesting. Just getting some slightly, I was expecting only to get attributes in the one axis, the Z axis, but I'm getting a little bit in the Y, and I think that's because the capture direction is slightly, up or whatever. So, yeah, that's fine. Cool. So that's what we're going to use to kind of deform this. And we can obviously leave, you can see they're both right here, right? So it's only affecting this top layer here. So that's cool. Great. All right. I might just animate this real quick just to get something going here. Maybe we'll reduce the length of this to like 120, and we'll start this around frame 6. I'm just going to do keyframe the capture origin, maybe go back to 108. Let's see how far we want to go with this. Probably a little more than that. Maybe there. All right, let's see what this looks like in real time as we sort of, I'm just going to reduce the size of that. Let's see. Yeah, I actually think it might be too much. Let's go here. Let's just adjust this back a little bit. Maybe like that, and maybe even 25. Cool. All right, so we are going to get in fairly close here. So let's just see what this looks like here. Yeah, looks kind of cool. Nice. Okay, so that animation should work for us. Let's just do a null here, and let's just say out backing anim. And we could do a backing static here as well, just to have in case we need it. I haven't really thought that through if we'll need that or not, but there it is. Okay, cool. So we've got some backing there set up. Great. So let's see here. We need to make the little hooks and the loops. That's obviously going to be an important part of this. I think, I'm trying to think how we best, I think we'll start with the hooks on the bottom. I think that'll give us our best kind of start point. Just want to take a look at this again just to see what we're dealing with here. All right. I'm trying to guess about how many across we've got here. And these, it's interesting because these are almost in like little, yeah, they are in like a grid pattern, aren't they? Huh. Okay. It's probably worth doing something like that in an actual grid pattern. It's kind of interesting. All right, let's think about how we're going to do that then, because a grid pattern would make sense. Let's see. We do already obviously have a grid here, so that's kind of good, but this does not feel like a high enough density grid. So that won't really help us out in this case. So what I'm just trying to think about here, let's do this. Let's say geo. I'm going to call this geo hooks. Let's take a look at how we could do this. So we're going to do object merge. We're going to take just the, I guess we can take the animated one for right now. If we needed to change that, we can. I'm going to hide the other ghosted geo. And let's just take the hook backing here. So there it is, pretty straightforward. Get hook backing geo. All right, so what we could do is we could just do a scatter, you know, on this and just kind of call it good. Might not be the worst way of doing this because we're going to get a good amount of points here. Maybe we do like 8. Yeah. That might be the smartest way of going about this, actually, if I'm thinking about it. We could just do a grid as well and kind of offset each of the rows and columns too. That's certainly possible. Yeah, let's try that real quick. I think we can do a little bit of procedural stuff there to make that work. So let's do another grid here. I'm going to grab the scale from the other one. Here are the size, I should say. Copy that parameter. Come over here. We'll paste relative references. And I think what I'm going to do is just subtract these maybe by like 0, 1. Let's see. So there's that. Just put that in. It feels okay. Let's see here. Maybe we'll do 0.5 instead. 0.05, sorry. Something like that, maybe. But we're going to want to offset these. So actually, I think the previous would have been fine. So let's go back to that, because we'll offset each row a little bit. So let's make this into a better grid pattern here. What we could actually do is just do something like this, where we get rows, which actually would probably be the best way of doing this. We'll get a bunch of rows. We can do connectivity on them. And then maybe like every other, we can just offset, a little bit. So this actually will probably make the most sense. So let's do this. We'll do something like maybe 145. Let's do 150. Oops, that's the wrong number. That's 125. Nope, still don't like it. Let's do 175. And what did I say it was about across here? Maybe it's like maybe 15 to 20 across. So let's try 20. Okay, and then so we don't actually need this just yet. So let's not worry about that. Do we have an option to output the rows? No, we don't have anything to output here. So let's just do a connectivity. This will give us the class for each of the primitives. And if we pop this open, we should be able to see that we have class here for each primitive. So what we could do is for even, we could move them a certain direction. For odd, we could move them the other direction. These are going to be moving in X. So I think that should work. The other thing we might be able to do is just do a group by range, actually, would probably make even more sense. And we could just say, yeah, we could actually do this instead. We could just do primitives. We could do 1 of 2, like so. And we could call this, yeah, we could do 2 different ranges here. We could do 2 of 2. And this would be, what is this first one going to be? Actually, sorry. This would be 1 of 2. And then this would be offset like that. Yep. And then the first one is going to be evens. And this one's going to be odds. Yep, that's fine. We don't even need to do the connectivity thing. So now we've got those set. Every other, we could do a transform and just move the evens over by a little bit. Maybe something like that. And then do the same thing, just the other direction for the odds. And we'll just say like so. So there they were originally. We're just going to offset them a little bit. Well, what I could do too is I could just copy this parameter, paste a relative reference here, and go home and do a negative on that. Okay, cool. So now those will just move opposite in relative synchronicity. So we'll just move these so they're offset like like that. Cool. All right, so now we've got those kind of offset down the line. Yeah, it's probably 7.5 is probably the accurate number. Cool. Okay. So now we've got these offset. We could do some kind of create some hooks here. And I think I'm going to do the hooks and the loops as, hair, basically. They're going to be varying stiffnesses and, stretchiness of hair, basically. That's going to be my idea here. So let's do it. Let's do that. I'll just leave this over here. I don't know if we'll actually end up using them or not. I'm just going to kind of darken those out. We'll see if we end up using them. Actually, I can use that just for reference. Cool. Okay, so let's do a line. These are going to need to be fairly short. In this case, I'm going to also bring in the other geometry. So I can actually just get rid of this group and we'll just do these as static so we can see the thickness here. Okay, cool. So let's do the line here and we'll do a copy to points. Oh, that's probably right. Let's see, 0.01. No, too long still. Hello? There we go. Yeah, obviously still too long there. I don't know how easy that is to see. I wonder if I change this to dark gray. Yeah, it's probably easier to see, actually. Let me also make the point markers a little bigger. I should actually just save that as my default for here. Cool. All right, so we need to shorten that again. Just kind of trying to figure out where the best. So we want these to be kind of hooking over. I'm going to make this a little smaller so we can see it. There we go. So we want these to be, yeah, kind of going back. So what I should probably do is just have these go back in directions. So that would be what direction here? So that is Z. So negative Z. So I have them like this, maybe. Something like that. Yeah, that looks cool. All right, so then I actually probably want to make these a little longer because I'm going to need to loop them around. So let's do that. And let's give them a few more points. Maybe 8. We're at here, 28,000. Okay, okay. Let's see if we can't get this to bend also in a way that's interesting. So I'm going to do bend here, bend. So let's do this. Where is it? It's way over here at the center, origin. So there is that. I'm going to turn on point snapping just so I can set the capture region real quick. So now we have this set up, so that's looking good. Let's see here. Gee, we can toggle the capture again. Change the angle of that. Let's just kind of see what we're dealing with here. So we kind of want it to start out relatively straight and then kind of do something like that, maybe? That might work. Yeah, that's not bad. I mean, it's a little different than how it looks, but it's pretty good. We might want to make the line a little longer. And maybe just move it along this. Oh, no. I want to be adjusting this. Just move this along and turn off that point snapping. Something like that, maybe. Okay. Just trying to think if there's anything else that we could change here because it's doing an angle. I don't think we can do. Oh, we could do a mask on this if we wanted to, but I think this will be fine. I think for our purposes, this should be just fine. Let's see what that does now and how that looks. So now we've got these all sort of in a row here. How does that look comparatively? Yeah, I mean, it's looking kind of right. Might want to make another couple rows here so they're a little closer together. The other thing I might do as well, since we have a ton of these, is kind of silly to how long this is. Maybe what I'll do instead is maybe make this a little smaller. It does not need to be that long. I just was looking at it and I was like, oh yeah, it needs to be long. It doesn't need to be this long. Kind of ridiculous. All right, let's make it a little shorter. Something like that, maybe. Let's see what that looks like. The animation is now going to be wrong. Let's see. We'll just move that down a little more. Let's see how that looks. Let's play this back and see. Okay. Seems fine. Cool. All right. I have a few less of those. Here's our hooks. We obviously have quite a few now, and I don't think they should be that close together. Nope. So let's make a few less now. Maybe something like that. Yeah, those seem pretty good. Nice. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions or anything like that as we're going through this, any ideas or thoughts or whatnot, please feel free to drop them in the chat. Happy to, take a little break and explain anything that I might be doing or trying. Yeah, so if anybody has any questions, always happy to answer them or do something different if I'm going about something in a dumb way. All right, so let's take a look at one other thing I want to do here because I don't want these all to be the exact same curve. So let's do this. Let's take this here. We're going to do a for each. We're going to do a for each point. And this is sort of the newer, I guess, recommended way of doing a, what do you call it? A kind of copy stamp type situation. So what we're going to do is, we're going to give these random bend attributes here. So let's do this. Let's take each of these points and let's do an attribute adjust, and we'll do a float, attribute adjust float. Right now we have these 203. We can do it 205, I think will be fine. So let's say we want that to be, we'll just use the same thing here, bend attribute, that's fine. So let's do that. And what we can do is we can say here, we're going to do a new block begin right here. And the block path for this block begin is going to be this block end. So now we've got this nice whole block that's kind of all together. What we're going to change this to is fetch input. So this is just going to fetch this input each loop. So we're just going to have this line here that we're going to loop over. We're going to copy this to points and then output it. So this is going to look exactly the same. Now we're obviously not getting that bend yet. That's fine. We're going to get there. So here we've got our bend attribute for the points. There it is. Let's do a random. We'll give it the middle and a range length. The middle value is going to be 205. And we could do a range of 1. We can try that for right now. That should be fine. So now each of these points is going to have that bend attribute. And if we do create a meta import node here, this should bring in the, well, this will do randomization based on which iteration we're in. Actually, since we have the attributes here, we don't actually need this now that I'm thinking of it. What we could do here is we could just create an attribute on this. We kind of attribute transfer here, and we could copy that over. Actually, attribute copy would make more sense. And what we could do is copy that from one to the other. So we could copy it from here to here. And let's see here. We should be able to do the bend attribute. There we go. I'm not sure if this is actually going to read that or not. Let me just see. No, it is not because, oh, is it? Wait. I think if we do this as 1, there we go. So the bend angle, we're just going to change it to 1, and then it's going to get scaled by that, and it looks like it's doing it. So now let's take a look at what this outputs here. So there we go. Do we have random values being made here? It's kind of hard to tell. Let's vary it a little more and see if we can't see a difference here. Let's give it a 5. Yep, it definitely is doing it. So let's go a little more crazy and do like 25. There we go. I'm going to turn off this just so those lines aren't getting in our way. And now we've got this random value for each of those instanced points. And this is kind of the newer version of a copy stamp method that you may have used in the past. And if you haven't, just ignore that I ever said that. You'll never do copy stamping. Don't even worry about it. Let me just keep playing with this a little here. I feel like this needs to be a bit more, so let's keep playing with that. Yeah, something like that seems good. So now we've got these varying hook shapes, basically. They're not all even. So that's good. That's really nice. And I think what we're going to do is we're going to, well, we'll turn these into vellum eventually, but for now, just trying to think if there's anything else I can do here that's going to work. Well, what we could do is we could set up our pinning, that we're going to need here. So let's do group by range again, I think should work. I think that'll give us our endpoints here. Let's see. And we want to do this as points. And if we do relative to the start end and invert, but actually I just want it to be to the start. There we go. So we're going to call these pins, and that should be good. That should be good. Okay, so I'm just going to create a null here. We're going to put this as the output. What's the cool trick? The for each with the copy to points? Is that what you're referencing as the cool trick, Apoxia? I think it's a cool trick too. I can't remember where I saw that. I think that's like the official recommended way to do copy stamping in newer versions of Houdini. the other thing to keep in mind here is that this, I think, can be compiled. So yeah, I don't, let me just double check here. Badges, parameter badges. Yeah, I don't see anything that is saying that, yeah, like this can't be compiled, but everything here can be. So if you compiled this, multi-threaded when compiled, and did a compile block, I think this would work. Let's see here. Up here and down here. Let's see if this will make it any faster. Oops. And then I'll put one over here as well. And that looks like that worked. So let's see. Let's see if this is any faster. Oh yeah, it's way faster. So what that's doing, for those of you who haven't dove into the crazy world of compile blocks, this is basically turning this whole, like, how do I say this in a simplified way that doesn't just annoy people? It basically turns everything in this for each loop into like one big block of code that all executes at the same time, so that it's not like looping through it anymore. It basically can just multi-thread on the computer and just push that out as far as it can to a bunch of different threads and kind of use everything that's available to it. And I think if we turn this off and uncheck that, we should see it back to where it was before, and it should be quite a bit slower, I think. Yeah, I know you can't really tell, but it's like chunking every time I do this. So this, you would see more of a difference even between the more geometry you put into it, basically. So anyways, I'm going to turn that back on, enable compiling, and let's see, multi-thread when compiled, and we are back in business. Cool. Great. So anyways, that is all good. Great. We've got our roots selected. Great. So we've got half of sort of our idea going on here. So that's good. You know, I actually might want to have those go around a little. Like, I feel like they're starting to flatten out too much at the top. So let's actually just do this. We can keep this range length, and up here we can do like 215 and just, yeah, see how quickly that updated? That was nice. I'll just give this maybe like 225 or something. And then, yeah, that feels a little better. Cool. All right, great. Let's say out hooks. I don't know. Green. There we go. Now let's do this similar thing for the top, but I want there to be more density in those loops. So let's do more. Stop. No. Oh, how do you know if a setup can be compiled? That's a great question. That's actually what I just turned on there. So if you hit D to go into your display options, you may have never gone in here before. But there are these context-specific badges. And right now I've turned, there's a non-compilable SOP badge. And I've turned this to large. You can actually see it up here next to this object merge. That is not a compilable SOP. So it cannot, it can't be compiled. Now, scatter can be compiled, so that's good to know. But like, for example, I think, let me turn, oh, interesting. I think if we did this, I don't think time dependence nodes can be easily compiled either, or sometimes can be. So time dependencies, I think, are usually tricky. References, like, so expressions and things like that, those are not available within compiled blocks. However, if you make a spare input into a node, you know, and use that within a compiled block, that does work. So instead of referencing like node paths and things like that, if you put in a spare parameter, that is something that's compilable. So there's some really weird caveats, but anytime you see, oh gosh, I'm trying to think what a node that wouldn't be. Why do I feel like labs auto UV or something probably doesn't? Yeah. I was just thinking anything that's like super like automated and crazy, like there's definitely going to be stuff in here that's non-compilable. So let's jump in here. Yeah. So this find shortest path node is not compilable. You can see right here, you get the big non-compilable SOP tag. I don't see anything else in here that isn't compilable. So it's just that. So if you could find a better way of doing that, it would be compilable. So those badges give you that tip that like, hey, you can't compile this. So if you are doing something like this that you're like, that you really, you want the performance out of, but you don't want to, you don't want to have to, well, really there's no other way to do this when you're doing this copy to points, and being able to affect upstream geometry up here, unless you were doing multiple variations, which you could do as well. That would be a possibility, and have random variants that come through here. However, in this case, we didn't really know what bend attributes we want, or how, we didn't really know those things coming in. So doing something like this can actually be much more freeing to be able to kind of make up a setup like this. So since you can't, from this copy to point, you can't really affect things that are kind of upstream here. This way it allows you to, change these before they get copied each and every point, basically. So you're obviously doing a lot more work because you're iterating on that a bunch more, but you have the chance to change that bend before it gets instanced each time. So anyways, yeah, this, it's a cool workflow. And we were talking about Apex before. This is some of the bedrock stuff that makes Apex able to do what it can do, because that whole process of being able to compile a SOP is actually what Apex does. It compiles everything and runs it all. So there's been this behind the scenes process of making every SOP that is possibly able to be compilable, like in the code base and stuff like that. So it's kind of cool. Anyways, so let's do the loops on the top, and then we can start playing around with the simulation and getting maybe some cool results. I don't know. All right, let's see here. We'll do a geo, and we'll say, sorry, geo loops. And what we're actually going to end up doing is using this same setup just for the top, because this one we definitely want to scatter. I don't think we want this to be anything too regular. We want this to be pretty random for all these loops that are going to be up at the top here. So let's see here. So we only really need the top. So let's do that. We'll do the loop backing. So that's going to be the top. Oh, interesting. It must be this group field maybe that's causing that. Or, I don't know. Interesting. That's very curious. All right, I'm going to turn that back to normal sized. You can still see it's right there. Here's our scatter. I'm just curious if we go to the animation one, actually, if this is going to, yeah, they're going to move around. Okay, that's fine. We'll just do this scatter and then deform it after the fact. So we'll just do a time shift here. We'll delete this channel, just first frame. And then we'll use the animated to deform all of these loops and create our, our animated geometry that we're going to use as the base for these loops and stuff like that. So, cool. Okay. So this is going to be a little different here. I'm trying to think of the best way of doing this. Maybe what we'll do is we'll just start with a line that's horizontal and centered and just pin the endpoints, or basically just get a curve view across them, and then use a ramp parameter to just kind of create a loop, the way we want it to. And that might do everything we need. Yeah. In fact, we might not even use a scatter. We might use a scatter and align so that we can rotate them and do some fun stuff with it. Cool. Just thinking. All right, let's get started with that. Let's do a line. This should be pretty small. And this is going to be going in the up axis. So let's do this in the, Z is forward for when you're copying points based on normals. So we'll have it go in the X axis and then have it go this way. Okay. So we'll have it go this, like so, that axis, and it's really tiny. Where is it? It's super small. I think that's too small. I think maybe like that is better. Where's our points here? What's going on? There we go. Just hard to see it. It's underneath the little gizmo here. There it is. And let's just do a match size here. I know this is sort of silly, but you can just do a match size to center it all up. And let's give this, I don't know, 12 maybe points. We can always go a little, maybe we'll do like 16. And we're going to do actually, we'll just do a resample. We'll just leave it with 2. We'll do a resample because we got to do that anyway. We're going to do that anyways to get the curve view. So let's do that. And then we can kind of make the size whatever we want it to here. What? Oh, I don't have my visibility. I'm like, am I losing my mind? Sort of losing my mind, just not paying attention to what I'm doing. Okay, let's do that. We've got our curve view set up here. And we're going to move this in the positive, what is this, positive X? Actually, I want this to go away. Go away. I want to see the little nom in there. Yeah, the positive Z. Cool. Okay, so let's do this. We will do a point mop. This will probably be the easiest way to do it. Come in here. We'll do a bind. Just do a bind with curve view. And that'll bring in the float value here that we can work with. Let's do a normal. Splice along normal. What in the world is... Excuse me? Oh, that's a bug. Oh, that's crazy bug. Oh, I gotta remember that. Jeez, that is a weird one. Never seen that before. Let me just see. Is it geometry global parameters? That's what it is. Oh yeah, wow. Mega bugged. Actually, this is going to be a constant. That's a fun one. This we can just do in the z-axis. And we can give it the amount based on the curve view. We can do a ramp parameter. Output spline ramp. Probably say amount like that. And now this should... Yep. I mean, it is a little crazy. We probably want to do the scale here. So let's do that as well. We'll just promote that parameter. We'll say loop scale. Hope everybody's doing well out there. You're all a little quiet tonight. Maybe we've maybe everybody's just had too much holiday cheer already or something. I don't know. Everybody's very, very quiet tonight. Hello. Hey, Matthew. Welcome. I'm probably saying that wrong. I feel like that is a French. It should have more of a French pronunciation, but I will not embarrass myself and try to do that. But welcome. All right, so we have our loop scale here. Let's just put that at something smaller. Digging on the instruction. Hey, I mean, I'm just guessing as I go along here. The instruction is, let's hope this works. It's always, yeah. That I've honestly been a little bit like dreading this because I'm like not sure how I'm going to do this. Oh, shoot. That's weird. Can I... Oh, there we go. Okay. Slopes to 0. Okay, so then this one I can just hit 0. Okay, there we go. Cool. Great. Yay, Bezier hand. Oh, hello. Yay, Bezier handles. Make loops that look something like this, maybe. Just gonna sort of give these a general look. I'm not going to try to make them perfect or anything. Cool. There's our loop. That looks fine. We could actually do something like that or that and then resample it one more time after this point vop. So this is our deformation. Let's do this. Let's do a normal here. And we should be able to get the normal direction off of this. Let's see if we do points. There we go. Yep, there's all of our normal vectors. Cool. And these should have the normal vectors passed on along as well. And if we take this as it is right now, the normal vector usually is by default in the z-axis. So let's just do this. Let's do a copy to points, just to make sure we're getting the right thing that we're expecting here. We definitely are. Cool. I mean, it's maybe a little hard to see, but our loops are there. They're doing their thing, so that's fun. So what I think we're going to do is randomly rotate these. We can... Oh, the other thing we got to look at, though, is that hopefully these aren't going to be... Yeah, that's tricky. Tricky. So we need to make sure that we're not going past, through my mouse. We're not going past the edge of this. So let's scale these down a little bit in those two directions because, yeah, we're probably going to need to have it be scaled down by like how wide were these? 0.1? Is that what? No, 0.1? Okay, so let's try that. So we've got this here. Let's do a transform from centroid just to make sure it's in the right spot. So now this is going to transform from the centroid. It's going to always be looking that up there in the pivot transform. And let's just scale these down a little bit. Oh, yeah, that's actually going to be really tricky because it's not going to be a scale by value, by a certain amount. It's by a percentage. So let's just see here. Scale these down a little bit. That looks pretty good. And I'm going to try about the same on this axis as well. Yeah, we'll see what we can get here. So what I'm doing is just scaling this down so that it's away from the edge. That's pretty close. I want it to go up to the edge, but okay. So that should be good. That should be a pretty good amount. Good. Oh, that's awesome. Always love when people can learn some new nodes and some new workflows. That's always the point here, right? Learn some new stuff. Cool. Let's just see how this looks again. Yeah, that's too far because the other grid, let's see where we are here. Yeah, the other grid is down there. I could just turn those off and ghost these other objects. That actually might be fine in this case. Yep. You can see how those are going through. We don't want that to be the case. So let's change this loop scale down a little bit. Probably like that. Somewhere around there would be good. Cool. And in fact, these probably should be narrower now that I'm looking at them that way. So let's try that. So we'll go down and make them a bit narrower. Yeah, it looks looking pretty cool. All right, so instead of scatter, let's do scatter and align because that's gonna create a little bit of a better workflow for us here. Obviously, now it's just copying to each of these points that are on this grid here, but let's do a scatter and align because this will give us some nice alignment options. The one thing to note about this is that, I'm gonna turn this off again. Excuse me. The by default here, it's a little strange. We've got these spacing attributes and things like that. Oh, yes, we could use an attribute adjust vector, but this will actually do that for us. So this is going to be pretty nice. So what I'm going to do here is, let's do this instead. So we'll do maybe 10. Where are points? They're starting to come. What's going on here? Is that not bringing the normals through now? That's weird. Attributes. Okay, there we go. Sorry, I'm just trying to remember why. Why is that not working? Okay. So one of the weird things here is that this sort of wants our geometry to be within kind of a unit scale, basically like a 1 meter scale. So that's why when we're getting this here and we're saying by like density or whatever, where'd they all go? Don't have any. When we're doing this, these are getting like super, super tiny, right? That's sort of the reason here because we're only making these really, really small things. And as we increase the density here, they actually get smaller because it's trying to look at these as if they're 1 unit size and like trying to pack them all together in that way. So it's a little strange, but let's try this out. I think I can make this work. So we've got this this right here, right? And what I want to do is I'm going to do one more thing here. I'm going to do a match size again. And this time, yeah, you'll see the difference in a second here. It's actually really nice. It's a little annoying that it's doing that specific thing. All right, so here is our curves. I'm going to turn this off just so we can look at this. So it's now centered, but what I want to do is I want to keep it pointing in this positive z-axis. It's a little hard to see here because it's so tiny, but this is positive z right here, right? So that's going to be the direction that when we copy to the normal, that's the direction of the normal. So we want that to be facing down. So that's good. Let's scale this to fit, and it's going to make it bigger, right, for this box. So now it's basically in this 1 unit box size. We can always adjust this down if we wanted to, the target size here. But let's do that. And let's do this again here. And instead of doing the density scale, let's do it by size. I'm going to leave the coverage. I'll do the coverage to 1. And let's change the uniform scale down to 0.01. We'll see how big those are looking. Probably too big, if I guess correctly. Oh, they're pointing the wrong way. Oh, no. Sorry. They're just centered here, and we want them to actually be justified to the maximum. So they should be like that, along. Oh, sorry, same. It should be like that. So we want it to be minimum, sorry, to same. And now those will be centered like that. And when we look at these, we'll see that sure enough, they're still too far down. And as we change the scatter, now this should work a bit better. So let's turn this down a bit more here. We're going to get some more loops, sure enough. Something like that. We can actually now up the coverage here, get more of that. And now we can start to see some of the actual really nice features of this node. So there they are there. Let's see here. We're going to make these a little bigger, something like that there. And let me just see how many points we're making here. Yeah, 1900, not too crazy of an amount. And what we can do is we can obviously keep upping this coverage density and make this up to like 10 if we wanted to and get some really dense coverage there. So we're starting to get a little bit of a better feel for this. And now if we take the orientation, we can do some rotation around the normal. And here we can set this up to 360. And the reason that's not working is because we're not outputting the orientation. And the reason that that's not orienting properly now is why? I think this actually wants to copy it differently, which is very interesting. Oh, right here. Target towards. Okay, sorry. The normal direction should be Z. There we go. And the forward direction could be Y or X, whatever. We'll just swap those. So our normal direction is Z. That's why this isn't working. So now if we do this, we'll see, yep, they'll rotate around. We can do an offset angle here. We can also round it to multiples, which is really nice. You could round it to multiples of whatever. We could do it to multiples of 45. So they'll all be at 45, some multiple of 45. We could do them all at 90. They'll all be at 90-degree angles. Pretty handy. We don't want to do that in this case. We're just going to let it be random. And that should give us a nice variation. Now, another thing that's really cool about this scatter and align is that since we have this uniform scale here, we can use this to our advantage. We can take these loops and now we can slightly reduce some of them. So like maybe this one will go to 0.9 and maybe 1.1. That should change some of them, I think. Interesting. Huh. I thought that would work a little differently. Huh. Strange. Because it's removing them. Okay, no worry. We can just do that in here in this next step because I feel like that should be working and it's not. It does this. The one thing it doesn't really always want to do is have a lot of overlapping stuff. So as we're making those p scales bigger, it's seeing those points as overlapping each other. So yeah, it's not liking that. Let's also change this to get these edges a little closer. So we want to move these back a little bit like that maybe. And we'll move this as well, so that we've got it nice and distributed like so. Yeah, that looks pretty good. And we should also resample those so that they're an appropriate size here. So let's do that. Let's do a resample. Yeah, it takes a little bit of like thinking about how to get it to work properly. And so there are some really nice benefits to it. But having it within this meter scale is definitely like a little strange. So like, I'll just say set to 1M scale, just so when you look at these, you know what the heck's going on in here. All right. So this should be at something like that maybe. Oh boy. Nope. I flew too close to the sun. Stop. Too many points. There we go. Yeah, there's still too many points. I was like, why am I not seeing those? Poor brain's not working too great today. All right, let's do this as a subdivision. Probably that's enough. Yeah, that's probably fine. I mean, we can always adjust it more later. Okay, so now they're nice and round. Let's just do the standard adjust float here with the p scale set. And what we can do is just say random, and we can say maybe middle and range length. We'll say the middle is 1. The range length is 0.1 for right now. And instead of operation add, we'll do maybe a multiply. I think that'll do this, what we want. Yeah, there we go. Just want to make sure those aren't like doing anything too weird. Yeah, that should be good. So now we've got these kind of randomly scaled loops, so they're not all going to be exactly the same. No, I'm pretty happy with that. I might make a little bit more here. Maybe we'll do a little more with this coverage. Maybe we'll do 20. I don't know. Yeah, we could certainly do that after the fact, like give it a thickness. I want to use these all as is right now and not have to worry about that because especially for these are kind of thin. And we're just going to do them as like hairs, I think, and have them collide that way. And those will have like a thickness to them technically. So I'm going to leave it as it is, and then we'll kind of play around with it and see what we can get it up to. But yeah, I think maybe we'll do it with a sweep, or maybe I'll throw it into Karma real quick and see if I can get a little render with like a hair shader or something. I don't know. We'll see. The sim will depend on how this all goes. All right, let's see here. We'll do a null, and let's say out loops. I'm just thinking. Okay, so this is animated here. So this is going to move up, right? So that's cool. Let me hide this. Let me just move this down here. Trans point deform. Yeah. Okay, so we've got our mesh to deform, which are going to be these. And we need our rest and our animated. So this is going to be our animated here. So let's take, okay, sorry. So this next one's going to be rest point lattice, which is going to be this. And then our animated is going to be that. When we put them all together, we get these deforming points. Cool. Looks good. And let's see, can we throw this in here? How's this going to work? Hey, look at that. It's actually pretty fast. So that'll be good. That'll be what our animation is going to be. So that's cool. We can also do set the groups here with our point group. So let's do a group by range. Again, for those, we're going to set the start and end points. It's so funny how big this is. Relative to start and end. In this case, we're going to want both start and end. These are going to be points. And we'll say, actually, you know what I'm going to say? Loop pins. And down here, I'm going to actually rename this because there was a group here. And I'm going to say hook pins. Because just on the off chance that we have them together, I want to make sure that we can separate those apart. Let's invert the range there. And those are now our loop pins. And when we look down here and look at all of these, we should see, let's see here. If we go to points, should see that those are our pinned points. You can see them all there at the roots, those purpley ones. So those are the pinned points. Okay, so we have those set. That's cool. Yeah, Matthew, thank you so much for joining. And yeah, no worries at all. Always happy to chat and be able to answer some questions and see what people are thinking. It's always nice to know. So thank you for being part of it. Oh, you know what? This is going the wrong way, maybe. Oh no, I think I might just be looking at it from the other direction. Cool. Oh, that's what's going on there. Okay. So I think. Oh, yes. I think we might need a couple more, a little bit more here. So let's just do this 1 point. Let's just do 1 here. Allow it to look for a couple more points, maybe 2. Oh, maybe it was too big. Maybe that was the problem. Okay, just making sure that this looks decent and it's capturing and deforming that. Seems like it's doing okay now. Okay, cool. All right. I think we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. The other thing I want to just make sure that I'm not doing is I want to make sure that it's not... I feel like it's like smushing a little bit in this axis, but it doesn't seem like I have that option. So that's okay. I thought there was an option for that. Anyways, let's now start playing with some sim stuff. Let's do a geometry node here. We're gonna do this as sim Velcro tear. Cool. And let's start getting our different pieces going here. So let's do an object merge. And let's grab our animated backing. I think that'll be good. That'll be like our colliders. So we'll say get colliders. And that's animated. Cool, cool. Let's do an object merge as well here. And let's grab... we actually should grab both of the other things too, the hooks and the loops. And so now the tricky thing here is that we have them both coming in one place, and we want to be able to kind of control these separately, right? So let's look at how we might be able to do that. So we'll say get hooks and loops. So what we should do instead is add some groups here before we output these. So there's our hook pins. We'll also just do a straight group, and we can set these up to be, we'll name these to be hooks. And then we'll come down here, do a group again, and say loops. And now we have our hooks and loops. I'm going to change this to purple. So we'll have our hooks and loops set up in here. And we should be able to see that if we go into our... And you can also see we have our loop pins and hook pins set here. And we can go into primitives, and we can see those are our loops. Those are our... Well, we can change these to more visible colors so we can actually see what the heck is going on here. And we'll change this to like maybe a seafoam green. I don't know. It's still a little tough to see, but they're there. Got hooks, we've got loops. Anyways, the other thing we could do as well, actually, now that I'm thinking of it, is we could color those so that we can see them a little better. So the hooks, those were red in that video, so let's do that. We'll do them as red. And now in here, actually, you know what? They should be a little darker because... might be a little easier to see. Maybe something like that. Make them a little easier to see. I don't know. There's just a lot of them. Maybe we can do this too for the loops. Maybe I can do like a... Hey. Oh, I don't know how to say that name. The last name's Marcello. Welcome to the stream. Glad to see you're excited. I don't know how to say your first name. If you have any way of explaining that, I'd be curious to know. But welcome. Thank you for joining the stream. Maybe that'll be a little better. I don't know. Just trying to make... No. It seems like everything I'm doing is making this worse. But anyways. They're there. Hard to see, I guess, because they're all on top of each other. But we'll start playing around with this. All right, so let's do a... Well, let's not grab the loops first. Let's just do the hooks, and we'll get those set up first. And then we can go from there. Okay, so let's do a vellum. Probably configure hair. So let's do that. I want these to have really high bend stiffness, so I'm going to go super high with that. We might have to go higher, but we'll see. Let's visualize the thickness of these. Let's up the thickness of these. Yeah, let's go 0.6 maybe. Nah, 7.5. Let's do that. Okay, cool. So there's that. And we're going to pin some points in place. Those can just be our hook pins. And those will pin those in place. So if we unvisualize these, we'll see that we have those pins. Oh, wow. Oh, that's cool. Nice. Well, welcome, Joe. Wow. For preview purpose, you can add a width. Really? Like with an attribute? I'm curious about that, Carlos. Explain. I don't think I know that. That's a cool trick. Please explain more. Oh, that's fun. Wow, we'll look at that in a second. I'll keep going here, but that is definitely cool. I like that. Let's see here. We'll do a vellum solver. And there's our colliders, just in case. Can I change the collider color? All right, let's see if these fall over or what they do. Nope, they're just sitting there. They're just straight chilling. Cool. All right, let's see how far we can go with this before these start to fall. Also, I'm going to add a couple of substeps here, maybe. Just like that, maybe 3. All right, let's see about 1. Oh, that option. Yes. Shade open curves in viewport. Yes. Oh, that's just like for, yeah, I never thought of that. Duh. I do know about this because this is from, this is what you have to do for the feathers. I just was not thinking. That's so funny. Wasn't even thinking about using that in this case. And then, yeah, I think I'd have to do a primitive attribute. Yeah. Is that a primitive attribute? I can't remember. I think it is. Seems like it would be because it's saying open primitives, but no, actually be a point attribute. Okay. I'm just going to do attribute create. Again, just for slight simplicity here. And we'll do width and yeah, baby. Nice. What a great tip. I was not even thinking of that, but that's a great tip. Thanks so much. Now we got some nice thick geometry to take a look at here. Cool. So this will just be for, I'll just say this, add visualization. Cool. I'll just say add viz attrib. Sorry, I try to comment some of these things if they're weird that I'm doing, so when people look at these eventually, or if they ever do, they won't be too confused about what we're doing here. Okay, so just making sure that this is actually working. Let me turn this back to its default, which was like way down there. Huh. Is the mass too low, maybe? Hmm. It's interesting. Let me just do this. Let me add some wind just to see what the heck happens here, because nothing's moving, and that's really strange to me. Oh. Dumb. We have a dumb person. I was visualizing this. All right, let's put the pins back on. All right, let me try turning the edge length scale back way down. Oh, I saw it bend. Weird. Okay. Well, let's just do this. Let's get these loops in here. We'll start. Ooh, that's fun looking. It's very fun. All right, let's get the loops in here. We'll start messing with those as well. So we'll say setup hooks. And then we'll do another vellum configure hair here. And this will be on the loops only. So this one's going to be working on the hooks. This is working on the loops. And we're going to pin the loop pins, and we're going to match the animation on those. And let's really give this some stretchiness here. Let's try that. I have no idea what's going to happen here, but let's give it a shot. Okay. Let's try something here. Let's just bring the substeps down just a little bit. Well, they're hooking. They're hooking onto it. We've got some real stretchiness going on here. This is very normal. There's just a normal amount of stretch happening. This looks exactly like Velcro. Looks exactly like it. Velcro does the same thing. It stretches for infinity. Oh no. Shoot. Didn't have my what is it under advanced? No. Solver. Simulation. There it is. Cool. Save for your gum under your shoes. Exactly. Yes, it's exactly what we're trying for here. Let me just make sure that I'm not missing something here. Where are my hooks? I want to look at these. Make sure the hook pins are correct. I might just add in a few more points here, maybe just for kicks, just to make sure that that's a little more. It's got a little more definition. Why is it not bending properly? Maybe because it's small. Maybe these just need really tiny values because they're small. So let's give it a shot. Maybe that stiffness is really high for some reason. Just going to calculate uniform on that. Let's see what the thickness is on these two. Oh, right. You can see the thickness because it's visualized. That's actually really nice. How many points do we have on these? Yeah, that's a pretty good number. All right, let's see what might happen there. Oh. Hello. Those fell down immediately. Okay, so I went a little too crazy with it. So this is going to be set up loops, set up hooks. Let's go back to there. I think let's try that. Oh, you know what? We might need to do something with this stiffness drop off. Can't remember what that exactly. Yeah, that's a good point. We could probably do that. What I could do is yeah, it's doing something now. Now those are stretching too much. All right. Yes, that's a great point, Carlos. Let's take a look at that. So what we could do here is we could just, yeah, there's too many. What I'm going to do is just make a group here and we'll just remove some of them. So let's do that. So let's do a group. We'll say this is going to be keep. We'll make a bounding region. There we go. Maybe something like that. Even like that. Okay. Cool. So now those are all in the keep group, and we can just blast. And we'll say keep. And now we only have those. Wait, where'd loops go? Maybe need to do that. Yep, they just weren't completely within the boundary. Okay, cool. So that should do it. Let's try this. Let's see if this should certainly be faster. Yeah, let's even go crazier here. There's no reason to have this. Even that many. Whoa. Whoa, whoa, whoa. Hello. What just happened there? Oh, because it's animating. That's why. I'm like, what? Something weird's happening here. All right. So let's cut that out of there, and we'll put those in each of these groups. I thought I was losing my mind for a second there, and I sort of was. All right, hooks. The loops can get that. Cool. And actually, the loops need to be up here. Cut those out and turn those into points. There we go. Okay. Now we're good. Because those should move. Let's turn this off for a second. Yep. All good. All good. Okay. I was very confused why it freaked out all of a sudden when it started moving. I was like, for what? Why did we freak out? It's so funny that it's like the other way. It's like going the wrong direction, you know? Like, that's so bizarre. How is that even happening? Huh. All right. So let's do this. The hooks, let's make sure that those are a little bit more dense. Let's turn the density down a little on those. And let's just do that for right now. See how that helps us out. All right, let's see if I can't tweak this a little bit here. Yeah, so let's do a little more constraint iterations. We could do a couple more subs. We can do one more sub step too and see where that gets us. Yeah, we're getting closer. I like that one. All right, let's see. Let's see how this looks in like a little bit more real time. All right. So, I think the loops could use a little more density, just to give them a little bit more strength to be able to pull them away. And I think what I also want to try to do is do a decreasing strength along the along the bend of those. Yeah, these need to have some more points to them, obviously, but I mean, it's starting to sort of do it. You know, we're getting closer. I kind of wonder if the loops should be a little stiffer. Let's see. See how that works. So, okay, let's see where we're at here. So we've got pretty normal stiffness on the hair. The stretchiness is still pretty low on the loops, sorry. Hooks are very stiff stretch. Very bendy though. All right, let's try this. Let's try a couple more substeps here and go up to like 200 and just see if we get anything that's more stable looking here. I like that. That's great. Maybe they're too curled over. I wonder if the loops are just too curled over. Also, maybe we do turn these down a little bit. These are a little thinner. And these maybe go up a little bit because those are thicker. Oh, Oh, yes. What I wanted to do was change this stiffness drop off. All right, so sorry, I'm just trying to read this just to make sure I'm thinking this right. Decreasing drop-off means that the stiffness starts at full strength and decreases to 0 at the drop-off degrees from the rest angle. Okay, so I want to do decreasing. I don't know what angle, 20? I don't know. Let's try that. Whoa. All right, let's see how that works. Oh, that's funny. They just flop over now. That's not really what we want. No, that doesn't work because it basically deforms it. It won't like snap back. All right, I'm going to give this let's see. Lots of sitting and watching renders today, or sims. Thanks for bearing with me. Thanks for hanging out. No, that's not what we want. I don't know why I thought stiffer might be better. It's not. You know what we could do though? We could scale by an attribute. We could do bend stiffness. Okay. And we could make the end less stiff than the root. Now we're thinking. Okay, let's do that. Okay, bend stiffness is the attribute that we need. Let's go to the hooks and let's see if we can't get something going on here. Do we have a curve view attribute here? No, we don't. Right? Okay, so let's do that. Let's do a resample. Do this down at this point. We're not going to change anything. We're just going to output a curve view. And that should be going from the roots, hopefully. Yep, from the root to the tip. Cool. Great. Everything's looking good there. Okay, turn that off. So now we have curve view. And what we could do is we could just do an attribute remap. And we could say original name is curve view. The new name is going to be bend stiffness. And the input is going to be 0 to 1. And so at 0, at the root, we want the stiffness to be 1. And at the tip, I don't know, maybe we'll say it's like 0.5. And what we could do here is we could maybe visualize this bend stiffness, right? And we could ramp this. So we could say it's stiff all the way up to there maybe. And then it's going to be less stiff up at the tip here. So that's going to be able to, yeah, maybe it's like there. And it's going to be able to bend a little bit more up in this top section. So it'll stay really rigid at the bottom, but once we get closer and closer to the tip, it's able to bend a bit more. So that should hopefully help us. Let's take a look. Let's see. Oh, we're visualizing there. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so we have that bend stiffness enabled, and that's going to just be a scale. We're scaling it by that attribute. So 1 keeps it fully stiff, and 0.5 lowers that by half. So we'll see how this goes. Looking at the back side of the simulation, should look at the front. Okay. Not looking great. Let's try to go down a little bit in stiffness and see where that can get us. Ooh, I think that's starting to look kind of, except for that one. That one. Let go, jerk. Okay. Maybe. So I'm kind of wondering, like, make him shorter? Is that what you're saying? I mean, I could very easily just do that. Yeah, I could just make him a little shorter. Like, maybe they should be just 6, like that. Yeah, maybe that's all it needs. Let's see. Oh, I need to adjust the ramp though, because in here, these are now going to look a little different. Yeah, we need to just adjust this a little bit so that we're not getting these bottom ones moving around too much. Cool. Yeah, it might have been a little too much because it doesn't seem like they're really grabbing quite enough anymore. But I think we're getting somewhere. Let's do that. 625. Double check this. Yeah, maybe in there. Okay. Okay. I really still think we just need just a little bit more. These are very small margins that we're dealing with, but it's interesting how much of a difference it makes. All right. Let's see. Let's see. I also wonder if I shouldn't make those roots even a little stiffer before they transition out to be, you know, more soft or whatever up higher. I mean, it's starting to get there, I think. I don't know. The only thing that's a little weird here is that these are definitely like yanking too hard on these individual points here. So, I wonder if the loops shouldn't be a little less stiff, maybe. Just able to stretch a little bit more. And what I might do, let's see what the video's looking like here. A few more of them are kind of hanging on than in mine. There also might be more of those loops up at the top. Kind of seems like there's quite a few more. Yep, I feel like they still just need... It's so funny. Like, I really thought I was only changing this a little bit, and it really feels like it needs a little more each time. It's weird. Also here, I'm just going to do this. And yeah, right. The last 10% takes 90% of the time. 100%. 100% correct. Let's see here. Oops. Yeah, a lot of times this is what, you know, when people aren't stupid enough to do this live in front of people. This is all the stuff you don't have to see. And then it's like, here's all the settings I figured out for 12 hours straight. So I kind of wonder... Oh, wow. Look at that. That really changed that last little bit. That's so crazy. Yeah, the hooks. I kind of wonder if changing these... Yeah, that could be true. They probably did go in and do some post tweaking to it or whatever. It's very possible. I mean, you know, I'm trying to do this all in simulation, and there's a great chance that they did not do it all in simulation, although they might have. I mean, hey, who am I to say? But yeah, certainly doing some art directing after the fact would be smart. You know, save you some of this back and forth. All right, let me do this. Let me just see how this is going to look if I do something like this, maybe. Just want to get some more points in there just to see what happens. Just out of curiosity. See if that really makes a huge difference or what it does. Also, how thick are those loops? Just out of curiosity. They are very thin. Okay. And the hooks are... Let's visualize those. Yeah, they're pretty thick. Cool. All right, all right. All right, let's see how this looks. Also, maybe a bit of a narrower, you know, not having it just go straight up like that might actually create more interesting behaviors. I'm really confused here. There's something really strange going on with these. I don't know why they're pulling like that. Yeah, I could try it. I can definitely try it. Let's see. We'll just go crazy. Well, I'll just sit here for a second and see what happens. Ay, ay, ay. We're here for it. That's what we're all here for, is for sitting and watching Sims. It is one of my favorite things to do, to be honest. Ba-ba-bum. Just go a little crazier on the tip there. And let's see here. These loops, what do we have set up here? Stiffness, damping ratio. Maybe the stiffness is too high on those. Let's just try. Let's try going down by a high amount. I think it's funny because like really with the adding the extra geometry really didn't help with that pulling, so it's kind of strange. Not sure why that was the case. That's interesting. It's almost like it's almost like these loops are too loose now or something. No, okay. Let's try another. Let's get crazy. Let's get crazy. It's funny. I see my little view counter down here, and the longer I sit here just simulating things, it's like going down, down, down. But I'm happy to sit here and play around with this stuff. This is, like I said, this is one of my favorite things. This is actually why I got in Houdini in the first place. I mean, I loved doing simulations and playing around with things and, fluid and smoke and all this stuff. I feel like this should be faster, though, for some reason. I don't know why. It just feels like I'm missing something that's causing this to go slow. Not sure what it is. It's really strange. There's something kind of weird going on here where it's like, I mean, honestly, that's sort of feeling pretty good. There is this weird little pinch here, though, which I don't understand why that's happening. That's hard to see. That is hard to look at. Maybe I can change the background. Oops. I change it to light. Does that feel any better? Yeah, that's maybe a little better. Is the funnel shape on the loops where the vertices are? I'm not sure what you mean by that. Funnel shape on the loops. Yeah, like this. Like, why is that happening there? Oh, I wonder Oh, the extra stretchy. Yeah, no, I mean, it should be fine. You know what I'm kind of wondering is if it's the... Yeah, I could try that. I could certainly try that. However, what I'm wondering is... So I have these hooks. Their bend is really low. It's 3.1 loops. It's only 2. I feel like those should even be bendier. Let's just try something here, just out of curiosity. Not sure if this will work or not. Wondering if the bend stiffness is causing some weirdness. Like maybe it's when it's pulling, it's seeing like a bend there, but it's trying to resist that in some strange way. Or gosh, maybe it's just the stiffness is still too high. Yeah, it's still doing it. Okay. I'm just going to go crazy with the stiffness. We'll see. See what this does. Oh, I actually turned the bend stiffness up. Let's hope that doesn't mess anything up. I can set it back to where it was before. If not, what I could try to do... Yeah, so Carlos, you're talking about the P scale of the loops messing up the, messing up the simulation. Maybe. However, I mean, you do want to have some P scale to it so that it knows relatively, where, where it's trying to collide, right? It's like how they're going to move across each other. Oh, wait a second. That just reminded me of something. No. These don't have any P scale coming in. Okay. Oh, here's another thing you can't, you couldn't, this is not compilable either. Yeah, it's interesting because I actually turned down this one, but I could set these both back to defaults. Maybe I'll just set these all back to defaults and see if that helps us with anything here. Oop, yeah, I gotta go to the solver. Look at that. We didn't really get any of that pulling, and that was because I think the masses are now roughly the same. So like, That's so weird. Are we getting any of it? Yeah, maybe I mean, like a little, but nothing too crazy. And you could certainly like smooth that out, right? Like you could resample those or whatever. Let's do that. Is that what they both are set to? That's what it was set to originally. Let me see what these are all saying for their mass. Oh, okay. Those are the ones that are pinned. I'm just going to try that. Calculate varying. See if that helps us at all here. So I'm actually curious as to how that mass has really affected this pretty considerably. Oh, weird. Those are just falling over now? That's so crazy. Okay, I have an idea. I wonder if... So let's do this. Set that way higher for the bend stiffness. See if this new calculate varying actually helps us. It's interesting how much that mass has actually affected this simulation. It's always like such a weird thing to me to like try to think about mass as a huge part of this setup. I mean, it makes sense that it is. It's just I always am like trying to make sense out of what specifically is going on there. Okay, too stiff, too stiff. Let's do this. Also, curious if this is just too crazy. Do I have too many substeps in there? Too stiff again. All right. All right, we'll leave those up. I'll just leave those at calculate uniform, I guess. It's starting to get a little late here. I might have to call this soon, but I think we're getting pretty close. So I just want to get this back to a good spot, and then we might have to just call it for the evening. But yeah, hopefully this was at least slightly informative and interesting to see how you might go about doing it. Certainly computationally expensive, which I'm a little surprised by how much it is, to be honest. Kind of wonder if there isn't something maybe I could do a little bit better here to make for some better simulations or whatever. Better simulation speed, I should say. Yeah, it needs to stretch a little more than that though, huh? Let's just get crazy. Seems like it's working pretty well other than that, so let's just get nuts. Yeah, it is hard to find a balance. I agree. Yeah, it definitely is tricky because you're like, well, is it something that I'm doing here that's causing the issue? What is it that's actually causing this to go the way it is, right? Can be kind of tricky to figure it out. Also, I wonder if the scale isn't helping, that it's small. Like maybe I should have made it a little bigger. Well, cool, KG. I'm glad it's at least feeling like we're getting somewhere here, or at least something interesting has come of this. As I said, I wasn't super hopeful for this to be able to just be like, here's a quick example of how to set this up. Obviously, we're talking about people that are incredibly good at what they do, that we're trying to copy here. So I was always a little nervous about this because like this looks so good, and it's a little tricky to, try to do something like this live and just hope it turns out, I guess. But I'm glad it at least seems like we're getting something of value here, right? The struggle is fun. Yep, it is. It is. I'll say this: it is tough to struggle publicly. That is tricky. That has been what this whole stream has been a learning experience for me, is how to struggle in front of people. I should. I didn't. Yeah, I probably should, Joel. That's a very smart thing. And I used to do stuff like that when I was working in a studio, and now that I'm like doing this live, I'm like have forgotten a lot of a lot of my my standard kind of operating procedures and things like that. But yeah, no, I definitely should. That would be smart. All right, one more thing I'm going to try here. Oh, cool. You just came back from Wait, where do you live, Poxio? What continent are you on? Are you in Europe? I'm confused. I thought you were in Dallas. So now I don't know what's happening. Loops. All right, let's just turn this down a little. Yeah, then you sort through 200 saves to find the one. Yeah. Find Neo. Oh, Spain. Okay, I guess I didn't realize you worked remotely. Oh yeah, poor dude. Your sleep schedule must be totally making no sense. So it would be would be 7:40 there, 7:45 there. Jeez. Yeah. Oh, yikes. Well, RIP to your sleep schedule. Was that your first time heading over there to Dallas, or have you been over there before? All right, here's what I'm gonna do. Cool, nice, good. Well, hope you had a decent time in the U.S. in Dallas. The Texas is very different from where I live. I live far in the Northeast, but been there a few times, and actually been down to Texas pretty recently doing some school stuff. So, some things like that. But yeah, it's a whole place. It's a whole different world. That was where I got to meet Mark for the first time, was down in an event in Texas. Oh, sick. Look at that. Oh, I've got one around somewhere. I forget where I put it. But yeah, I got one when I went up to our office in Toronto. I got one there. That's awesome. Cool. The Foundation book. All right. I think I'm getting pretty happy with how this is. We got a little bit of stretch going on here. It's kind of getting sort of back to a decent spot. We've got a little bit of movement, a little bit of, pulling and stuff like that, but it's not too crazy. Yeah, that's looking pretty fun. And what I'm kind of curious about is if we ran this through, we ran it through a vellum post process here, and nope. Oh, what? Oh, that's interesting. Huh. Interesting. That's curious. Yeah, even just doing like a Catmull Clark on this is gonna help a little bit, maybe. Let's see, none. Catmull Clark. Yeah, I mean, like, even that is gonna do a little something. Although that is so weird how it's doing that. It's like curling like that. I almost wonder if it's because some of these are like interpenetrating and it like is confused by that or something. Anyways, I think we're gonna have to call it there because it's getting late. I gotta help with some Christmas things happen around here, but this file will be up online. You can take a look at it. You can play around with it, do your own stuff, enjoy, see what fun you can get up to. I thought maybe we'd get into some rendering today, but unfortunately, it does not seem like that will be in the cards for us. But we got something going on here. It's doing its thing, right? So we've got some interesting, simulation type stuff going on, and you can obviously go in and play around with the settings we had. Heck, you could even go back and look and see what setting I had at some point where you liked the sim, and it's all recorded here. So take a look, have fun. Yeah, I think we'll kind of wrap things up there for the evening. You could watch me probably tweak these settings forever. So I think we'll call it, and just want to say, yeah, you're welcome. Thank you for watching. I just want to say thanks to everybody that's watched this year. It's kind of crazy to think that I've been doing this now for 2 years. And just the fact that, people are watching and commenting and all that kind of stuff. So I really appreciate everybody being a part of this, and looking forward to some fun new stuff in the new years. Yeah, we're going to be looking at some rigging and things like that, starting with the little character that Igor from Polymarvel set up for me. So that should be pretty cool. I'm going to be playing around with that over the Christmas break, and we'll see whether that'll be maybe the first or the second stream when we come back. It'll probably most likely be the second stream, just to give myself enough time to just make sure I'm doing a decent job of it, just because I want to do him right by his cool little model that he made. So we'll be looking at some KineFX rigging for that, but also there's going to be a Mops Monday coming in the new year, and lots of other stuff. I'm going to try to do some things for the stream, tweak it, all that kind of stuff. Yeah, happy holidays to everybody. Thank you so much for joining. Hope you have a great holiday season. Obviously, stay safe, and hopefully your everything is wonderful with your families. And I'll be seeing you guys all back this way in 2024. So thank you guys for a great year, and looking forward to maybe even meeting some more of you in person throughout the next year and beyond. So thank you all for joining me this evening, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye, everybody.